Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is Into the Nexus, a podcast all about Heroes of the Storm and a little bit of Blizzard this week, as you might expect. I'm Garrett, joined, as always, by Kyle. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man.
It's one of those weeks.
Yes.
It's one of those weeks.
Yeah.
It seems like we have one of these weeks every, third of the year now.
I would say 3 months. I'm sad to advance that to a fourth, but yes, there's still a fourth of the year left. So I think we have time for one more, as awful as that would be. Oh my goodness. I am divided. I'm good this week because my games have been fantastic. I made Diamond 1 this week, tanking. I've been playing ranked Mount Gannis, and it's been an amazing good time. The Masters and Diamonds have been so filled out with new faces, new names. You know, there's a bit of a gaming drought going on right now. People have come back to Heroes of the Storm, and I'm hearing this across all leagues. People are happy to be playing Heroes of the Storm. It's a good game. We have awesome devs. Yet, there are things going on in the world and with Blizzard right now that give us pause and make us wonder what we're supporting, what's going on here. It feels like it's not the first time we're doing it this year. And that makes me sad right before BlizzCon.
Yes. The timing, I mean, my God, man. The week it has been. So first off, I would like to say that if you want a deep dive into the Blitzchung incident and it's bearing on Hearthstone specifically, that Jocelyn and I did a very long kind of talk about it on the Angry Chicken this week. You and I are going to talk more about it from a overarching Blizzard aspect, because this is not a Hearthstone show, it's a Heroes of the Storm show. But there's quite the boycott happening right now, which means it could have some sort of an effect on Heroes of the Storm. Although I have to say, I haven't really been noticing it personally.
No, I think Heroes fans are a little disenfranchised anyway. And
yeah, you and I we obviously been talking a lot off air, and you kind of floated that idea as well. And we don't want to put words in anyone's mouths, but I think the vibe we've both been getting is that if you are a Blizzard fan through the portal of Heroes of the Storm and you're still here, we've already been through some shit, y'all.
It does not come as a shock surprise that Blizzard is a corporation doing crazy modern corporation things. We lost our esports violently because of that. We had layoffs that we very much felt in our department, and our remaining devs are, as I said, rock stars, superstars. They are on the Reddit nonstop, communicating with us, letting us know their plans, what's coming up, what they're working on, what their philosophies are going forward. I mean, you can't, as far as a small team goes, you can't get any better over there.
Yeah, you really can, and that's kind of what it boils down to. Because to dip into a little bit of what I talked about on the Angry Chicken, is that there's Kyle, you and I, we create content about Blizzard games, and because of that, people have been tweeting at us. I don't know what it's been like for you, but before I did the Angry Chicken, it was pretty hostile for me. Post Angry Chicken, it's been a lot better, because I don't know. I guess people actually took a second to go listen to my opinion before they talked to me.
Yeah, that is commendable. Jeez, I was very sad to see people attacking you, man, and even more upset that they would immediately assume that your joy of the game has ended and that you would be jumping ship to a unknown corporation that you don't know if they're pulling similar things as well. So,
right, exactly. So that's the thing, right? Is I think there's an expectation, at least from a certain group, that if you're a Blizzard content creator, that your only course of action at this point is to join the boycott, stop covering the games, so on and so forth. And as I said on the Angry Chicken, and I will say here, I'm not doing that. Does not. We
are, patted on the back from time to time, but this show is not paid for by Blizzard. We are not sponsored directly by Blizzard.
No, and as a matter of fact, you and I haven't been patted on the back since the layoffs, because the community manager for Heroes of the Storm was part of that layoff, and we have not heard from the team directly since.
I'm doing okay, though. Jeez.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to frame all this up in that I am one of those people that thinks the punishment doled out to the player Blitzchung goes too far, and it's a bad look because it happened extremely quickly.
Well, let's give a turbo rundown of what happened for anyone who hasn't heard the news.
Okay, yeah, sure. So Hearthstone player Blitzchung in the Asian segment of the Grandmasters Tour, which is Hearthstone's premier esports event, took the platform of a winner's interview to make a political statement in support of the protests happening in Hong Kong, and Blizzard then removed Blitzchung from the tournament, banned him for a year, retroactively removed his winnings, which I am frankly entirely unsure about how that even works. Because my understanding was if you were in the Grandmasters, you got a pretty steady paycheck just by competing in it on top of winnings. So I don't know. I can't speak to the technical aspects of that. I've actually received a lot of tweets from people who are like, "Hey, how does this work?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how they retroactively
It's easy
took his money
to
away.
imagine savagery where they say, "Now you pay us back."
Yes. Yeah. And they also fired both casters that were involved in this interview. And so while, yes, technically this is a breach of a rule that's in the handbook, a lot of us believe that this is just going too far. Some people think straight up like, no, we're with his statement and you should let that fly. And to that, I just go, that's where I start to get, and you might call me a Blizzard apologist for this, but that's where I start to go, yeah, but what if they were, let's just say it was the opposite side of that pendulum. If it was a pro-China statement, would you also feel the same way? And that's a gut check I would just ask that you do. Because there's, as much as I agree with the comments that Blitzchung made, like I can understand wanting to keep politics out of your esport, and there's a whole conversation there also about the production side of maybe they should just not have post-game interviews anymore, because you can't control that unless you're going to have a delay, which they do for the English stream, but they didn't have for the Taiwanese stream. But yeah, so I don't know. The world we live in, like, frankly, like I'm doing my best to check all the check boxes here of a sane discussion, but the world we live in, I think our mutual friend John Jagger put it really well, which is nowadays you kind of just got to look at something and ask yourself, does this seem good or bad? And it's okay to have a gut reaction and have an honest to God human reaction to that. And to me, this feels bad. Because in the past, in Hearthstone esports specifically, we have had straight up players who have cheated, been proven to cheat, and it has been about a year before action was taken against them. And here we have a first offense by a player where they said essentially 8 words, and now they're banned for a year and having their money retroactively taken away. And that's where I take issue. I think the punishment is too severe for the crime.
There is a breach of contract. That is 100% fine. We've been under NDAs. There are punishments associated with messing up, even if it's 100% live. This does stink of somebody, and it just by feels like a very small, maybe an individual acting extremely fast and bringing down the hammer way too hard. Since then, there have been several updates. 30 Activision Blizzard employees staged a walkout at the company. They, over the course of the day, lost people, gathered people, reached about a maximum of 30, and they were in view of the executive offices by the wolf statue and making a statement that they didn't agree with the Blizzard decision. There's also been multiple Facebook groups that have organized in order to perform a protest at Blizzcon this year against Blizzard censorship.
Yeah, all of that has basically happened since I recorded my last Blizzard podcast, The Angry Chicken, so that's kind of all the new developments. There has still not been an official any follow-up statements by Blizzard except for, I cannot remember the outlet off the top of my head, and I do not have the link handy at this moment, but they did say something to the effect of they are taking another look at the situation. That was it. That was the only other statement out of Blizzard that I have seen since the ruling. Was it IGN? I don't know. Maybe it was.
Well, and the rumor and hearsay is that Brack is going to speak directly to the company, perhaps today, because many of the employees are furious about this, and they are having issues in their own company understanding this call.
I mean, the word on the street is that morale at Blizzard hasn't been what it used to be basically since BlizzCon last year.
Yeah.
That's outside looking in, this is all kind of unsubstantiated. Like, how can you really quantify morale? But again, it's another one of those things like finger on the pulse. Like, how does it feel to you? Because from us on the outside looking in as fans of Blizzard games, it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't look the same. Hasn't really since 2018, since it coincides with the loss of Mike Morhaime, but you can trace it back to Chris Metzen leaving and all kinds of things. There are these people that made a massive multi-billion-dollar corporation approachable and feel like a community, feel like a family, feel human. And piece by piece, step by step, controversy by controversy, that has eroded.
It's important to report on these sorts of things and to request that nobody go harassing any of the employees or even mods of the Reddit who have also said they're getting harassed, because they don't seem to agree with this decision either. And it's very easy for us to assume that it's all slides for stairs, ball pit meetings, and just a fun time making video games. But that industry has changed. That's an office complex down in LA, down in Anaheim, and they are losing their culture a little bit, stuck at their desks.
It's Irvine, just to stop the YouTube comments.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
But yeah, absolutely. And so that's the thing. And that's kind of where you and I, again, to bring it full circle back to the kind of conversation we've started this off with, which is if you were looking at this through the lens of being a Heroes of the Storm fan, at least you and I, we feel we've already built a bit of armor around this. It's like we have already chosen to continue playing this game despite the hardships that the Heroes community and team and game have endured with the loss of HGC and the cutting down, the sizing down of the development team, because you and I, Kyle, when we kind of look at it, this has been a good year for this program and our experience covering this game and being a part of the community. The community that's stuck with Heroes of the Storm has been really fun and really rewarding for me. I don't want to speak for you, so how do you feel?
I agree. I was saying at the top of the show, this game is a fabulous place right now. And there is perspective to be had, and we can only hope and will continue to report on this in the future, by the way. This story is ongoing at the moment. Like I said, there are rumors that there are going to be statements to the employees. There is pressure not only on the previous employee level that can be quite strong, and you can find across the interwebs. There's also Congress and political pressure on this company right now. Many people who aren't normally involved in video games are commenting on this fact. And it gets even stranger when you start thinking about the stakes that are happening in the background here. And if you want to boycott Blizzard, there are other companies that may deserve your boycott as well. And that's the kind of questions we need to answer as gamers. I don't mean gamers. That's a weird thing. But I'm talking about if you're mad at Tencent's influence, they also own 5% of Ubisoft, which is the same amount they own in Blizzard. So why was this decision so strong in that way? Paradox Interactive, you ever played one of their weird little games? I have. They make strategy games. There's one of the few that still do it, actually, on Steam. They own 48% of Epic, and Epic came forward yesterday and said they would never silence their players. Epic likes to get on the horn whenever anybody mess up and say, well, our store is better. We would never do such a thing. They own majority stake in Path of the Exile, 80%. I know how many of you love Path of the Exile. They own 84% of Supercell, which makes Clash of Clans. You playing that on your phone? I know quite a few who do. I know esports casters who play Clash of Clans. They own 100% of Riot. If you want to tell us to leave Heroes of the Storm and go to Riot, that's a bit of a fallacy. And they also invested $150 million in Reddit, the site we use to talk to our devs, to communicate as a community.
Oh, I'm muted. I was going to say Reddit. You mean the website where the Blizzard one went private during all of this backlash?
That very same one.
I wonder why it went private.
How strange.
Yeah, dude. It's you are correct, and at the same time, it's like I don't want to like. I think it's rad that folks are voting with their dollar, because I think a lot of us are looking at that take umbrage with the penalty, whether it's the severity of it, the speed at which it came down, the fact that the casters were implicated as well, whatever it may be. I think a lot of us look at it and see it as making an example. And so while, yes, you are correct in that all these other companies have, and pretty much everything you just mentioned, with the exception of whoever it was that had a 5% stake, have a much higher percentage of themselves controlled by Tencent. I think it's a bit of fighting fire with fire, and if Blizzard's making an example of Blitzchung boycotting Blizzard and moving to another studio that may or may not also have a controlled interest by Tencent is making an example of Blizzard. Because whether or not, and I would ask that you do your research and find out who's owned by who. But I think whether or not that's the case, I think there's merit in making an example.
And I do fully agree with speaking with your wallet. And we are playing a free-to-play game with amazing devs. That's an interesting conundrum. But what's even more fascinating to me is that loot boxes, DLC, all these things have taught gamers to speak with their wallets for a long time. And now we find ourselves on the forefront of a decision, and if we want to support it or not. And I think we've become really good at speaking with our wallets. And if there is a community that is ready to boycott in this style, it is the gamers. And that is just so strange. We've grown up a little bit, Garrett.
Well, we have, and we've also seen change affected by movement in the past. I mean, look at Battlefront 2, for crying out loud, and what happened there. I mean, it's not the same, but it is a reaction by the community forcing change by a developer. One in my that I frankly think is easier to talk about, because we're not having to talk about geopolitical implications, which you and I are frankly, it's not our jam.
We're not experts, no.
Yeah. If you're listening to us wanting to hear hard facts about what is happening in Hong Kong versus China, you've come to the wrong place. But like, that's something I look at and I'm like, that's really positive. Like, yeah, the backlash was warranted and it affected positive change. I think Battlefront 2 is a really good game now. Like, a legitimately good game. And the hilarious part about that is you can get it for like pennies on the dollar, because the price of it just drops so fast because so many people were either returning their pre-orders or not buying it in the first place. And now you can get a really good game for really cheap. But it's wild. I started off Angry Chicken this way, and I still feel this way. It's just like, why can't Blizzard stop shooting themselves in the foot in regards to the public perception of the company? It's like just had Classic, dude. They just finally just they tapped a brand new deep well of goodwill. And with this, they have just thrown it all out the window. And I just struggle to see how they didn't see this coming. And it's part of the reason why, I'm starting to get super tinfoil hatty personally, because I can't believe there hasn't been a follow-up statement. If back in the days of Mike Morheim, and I don't know Jalen Bracken, this is clearly all out of my butt, but it's how has he not made a statement yet? I am surprised. Back in the day of Morheim, we probably would have seen a statement by now because it's just kind of how he did business. And I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know if there's X amount of parties removed from even who was calling the shots over on the Chinese side of things. Who knows? I really don't know. It's easy for our brains to go to malicious thoughts about why we haven't heard a statement yet, but part of me thinks it's just as likely as they're just like, well, we don't want to throw our Chinese team under the bus, so let's think about how we're going to do this. Say that was the case.
And that's a perfectly fine thing to do outside of the circumstances. Don't go, don't run to mom when dad told you no. We gotta make sure that everybody's opinion and actions are respected so you have a functioning workflow. Let's go ahead and move on a little bit to BlizzCon because it's right around the corner and I really hope that we are recording too early. I very much hope we're recording too early and that there's a statement right around the corner and we'll be able to tell you about it next week. But I fully expect BlizzCon to change.
How do you expect it to change?
I don't think we're barely holding on to in an entertainment wise, the con feel where people stand up and ask their questions. I don't know if we get to maintain that now.
I mean, I already would have said that is in question after last year's Diablo debacle.
Right.
And that was I think a simpler issue. That is just folks like, that's a market reacting to a product in a negative. We don't like your product. We are your market. We don't want your product. We're going to let you know. You could draw a line with Tencent, sure, but I don't want to go there just to keep one of the conversations we're about to have at least remotely simple. And I would think open questions were already being reined in, if not eliminated entirely, after was this an early April Fool's joke comment last year?
Right. I expect them to be gone now.
Yes, I do too. And while I will miss it, it's one of those things, right? Because if I'm being honest with myself, if it wasn't under the haze of this controversy of something that I'm mad about, I wouldn't really care. Because I never liked audience questions that much anyway.
No, they were kind of boring. They were long. They would ask follow-up questions. And even though I wasn't standing there, I got really nervous for the guy behind them having time. That's why I can't watch The Office, is I just get really nervous for people when I see them in awkward situations. I want them to abandon ship and run away.
Yeah, I just never thought, especially at a conference, it was ever a particularly great platform for answering those kinds of questions. I prefer it in the Reddit, like we see the Heroes of the Storms developers speaking to us in the Heroes subreddit, because they can get really technical. They can take the time that they need to think about their response and then give us a response that is deep and technical. And while I'm not saying that answers didn't go that direction at BlizzCon, I felt like they seldom did, because what are you going to do? You're going to bore everyone to death talking about percentage change increases or decreases to a certain ability? That's what I want to hear. So yeah, I mean, I love the memes as much as the next person, but to me, it was something I never really cared that much about. Now, if it goes away, I'm going to be kind of miffed. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a knee-jerk reaction. It's going to be another bad look, but what the hell can they do?
Right. And maintaining the personality of BlizzCon is important. It has that smaller con feel that everyone there is a part, getting to meet these developers. And I wonder how much of that will change. I think video gamers, much as they're trained in speaking with their wallets, are also trained in being trolls. And there could be a lot of trolling in the audience. They're really good at it. Wearing t-shirts, making signs. Do audience shots go away because of the fear of them upsetting this broadcast?
Absolutely. I mean, there's been so much. I've just seen casual conversation on Reddit talking about we're going to wear protest shirts and we're going to coordinate. It's going to be a bright color. And it's yeah, well, there goes audience shots.
Yeah.
It'll still make the news because they're, people are going to see it with their own eyes, their social media. We all have phones, don't we?
We do.
So that's the thing. So they have to get ahead of this. I mean, they've already failed to get ahead of it, but they have to. I don't know. I find it really hard to think of a BlizzCon where they don't walk this back somehow beforehand.
Right. They have to, because you can't lose that con feel. You are having paid attendees. These are not people who are, here to report on your product for the most part. And removing those elements gets rid of the fun. If they come out and say BlizzCon and go straight into what they're going to announce instead of how you doing BlizzCon, that changes things by itself. You got to have that audience reaction. And it could just look like a big ad. And that would be very disappointing.
Yes, it would. Yeah, I don't know, Kyle.
That's fair. We don't know, and that's why we're going to continue to report on it. We're going to continue to keep you guys updated, and we have a whole happy to do Heroes of the Storm show right behind this. So why don't we get to it?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just hard segue into BlizzCon Virtual Ticket was announced. The goodies for it were announced. And for Heroes of the Storm, we're getting a Celestial Crab Mount, Kyle, and Nexus Hearts, both a icon for us to wear and spray on the ground.
Some of these are outrageous, like the Overwatch, Tyrande, and Illidan. That is amazing work. And a onesie for World of Warcraft, that, I don't know, that's a step too far.
I love it. I had this conversation with Scott on the instance in what feels like a year ago on last week's episode of the instance. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I really like
transmoggable.
I really like the Overwatch skins. It's the most excited I've been for anything in Overwatch in a very long time. But
the hero stuff's a little disappointing. It's worth throwing out there.
It's not the most exciting in the world, but I will temper that with I don't think the mounts have been that great really ever for heroes as far as BlizzCon is concerned. Probably the Mecha Shark is my favorite, and I still don't really use it that much. I mean, it's all relative. Maybe you're really into mecha stuff. Cool. But have we ever, I'm trying to think, were any of the mounts actually unique? Because I'm pretty sure like they were all like a unique skin variant of something else that had existed at some point.
Right, exactly. This doesn't break the mold for what we've been getting in the past. And actually, I think this is a love letter too. I mean, we can be like, oh, nice spray. Oh, you didn't put that much. Like, no, seriously. Like, this was designed by, I believe, Lana on her way out and became sort of a rallying symbol for the remaining team. And the fact that they are sharing this with us is really kind of cute.
Oh, the heart Nexus icon?
Yeah. It has a bit of a story to it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
This came, she made, I believe, this is off the top of my head, but I believe that she made my heart will always be in the Nexus signed poster t-shirts for the team. Oh. And this kind of melts, this melts my heart. And it can be easy to say, oh, this is cheesy. It is cheesy. And I love that the team is sharing it with us.
I already miss her, man. I already miss her. And I know, insert blue comment in the subreddit. Like, there's so many people you don't even know how awesome they are on the team. Still, if we do know you, we miss you. We're sad. We're sad you left. So, yeah. Well, damn, Kyle. I mean, I already liked it. I've, dude, I want to, kind of want to, get a tattoo of it because this show has changed our lives.
Yeah. For
better or worse, whatever your opinion is of Blizzard, this has been something that has completely changed your life and my life. And I'm just like, man, I kind of want to just throw that on my body somewhere. Not a tramp stamp.
Okay, that's fair.
Drawing the line at above my crack. That's where I'm drawing the line.
Oh, wait, so it would be upper body. Would you do like a leg, a thigh, a calf?
Probably an arm.
Okay, that's high real estate.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah, probably
you can't
an arm.
hide that with pants.
Depends where on the arm. You could hide it with a shirt.
Right. You could tychus it across your chest. That's very, very, important real estate there. So, it matters where you're going.
Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of Post Malone. Maybe I'll get it on my cheek.
There you go. Just get it right on your face and, wrap it up.
Yeah. But I like celestial mounts. I like the crab mount, so I will probably actually get more use out of this than any other Blizzcon mount. But yeah, I'm with you. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but hey, it's still cool. We're getting something, and now I want that the Nexus heart even more. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you. Let's get into what the Blues have had to say this week, because they've been a little chatty. Specifically, Dev AZ Jackson got in on a conversation about Laws of Hope versus Hold Your Ground on Johanna. This was a cool post. I liked this post, and I did not do my due diligence and write down the Redditor's name. Scythic wrote this. It's Laws of Hope versus Hold Your Ground from a Masters Johanna main. If you have not read this post, currently sitting at about 134 upvotes over on the Heroes subreddit. It was up 3 days ago, so it's not going to be on the front page. We've got a link in the show notes. If you are interested in Johanna and the debate, the endless debate about what level 1 talent you take, Kyle, this is a meaty, wonderfully written post by a main Johanna player that just really gets in the nitty gritty. And then on top of this, AZ Jackson gets in there and weighs in and pulls the veil back on internal Johanna talent specific win rates. And confirms that it's actually that you can continue fighting because these two talents are pretty neck and neck at higher ranks.
I thought this was interesting because I've never been trolled for my Johanna level 1 pick. So the endless debate, never happened for me. I'm the Johanna and no one's ever given me any lip about it. But it was very cool to read. Basically, what you want to do with your level 1 talent is decide if you are tanking burst damage or sustain damage. Laws of Hope heals you over time. That's great against sustain. And you can get up to some crazy stuff because you always have your unstoppable in the background. Hold Your Ground increases your Iron Skin shield and cooldown reduction. Now you can get up to really crazy stuff against burst. But you are now reliant on that cooldown to do your crazy things. You want to dive burst characters, you're going to activate it early. Go in, not so much for the unstoppable anymore, and get in their faces. If you want to dive a tower after that, you're in trouble. Versus sustain, that same situation, Laws of Hope in, keep your health high, and you still have unstoppable to get you out. And that's basically what the Redditor says is the split. However, Blizz AZ Jackson goes into the win rates when you get to level 16. And the fanaticism pick on top of it, this is what allows you to increase the duration of Iron Skin by 2 seconds. And while Johanna has Iron Skin active, gain 8% movement speed each time she takes damage up to 40%. You are a troll zooming tank machine. I love this talent so much, and I do feel like I shouldn't take it if I go Laws of Hope. Maybe we should reconsider that. There is a 58% win rate on the back of that one, with only a 55% win rate on Holy Renewal. As he mentions here, these talent win rates are inflated because people sometimes win before 16 or right at 16 when the enemy team doesn't have that talent tier.
Yeah. And frankly, I mean, if we're looking at the win rate, they're all pretty close. Fanaticism 58%, Holy Renewal 55%, Imposing Presence 55%. That's not a huge difference. It really just sounds like you should get to 16 on Johanna.
That is fair. And there is a 2% lower win rate for Reinforce. Oh, wait, no, Reinforce has a 2% higher win rate than the two, but it has a very low pick rate, which means people are probably picking it in the perfect situation. I know I take it very rarely, but when I do, it's all because it's nothing but physical damage on the enemy side.
Yeah. I found this really, really intriguing.
I think the best comment this Redditor makes in it is not about the level 1 talent at all. He says, you have to take Blessed Shield because that's how you actually tank. Johanna, and we mentioned this in the past, you sort of go, condemn, somebody attack one of these 3 targets I've just grabbed. Well, that's not a very good tank thing to call with. Someone destroy one of these 3 targets I just slowed. Okay, thank you, Johanna. I blind. Well, actually, blinds are really cute if there's no auto attacks, because you're using them for dismounts, for tagging, for doing sins exposed. Blessed Shield is how you actually engage as a tank with Johanna and have a lasting impact. And because of that knowledge, I've actually been favoring this week Radiating Faith at 20, which allows your Blessed Shield to hit 2 more targets, but also increases the stun duration to 2 seconds on all targets at that maximum duration. And that is a huge amount of control that you can put into the game at 20.
It's a brutal engage. Johanna. It's an absolutely brutal engage because you don't need to be on top of your targets. It's
you can aim at the building if you want now.
Yep, it'll bounce off. It's kind of Kael'thas logic. If you're trying to get if like I can't get close enough for bombs, but they're close enough to a structure. No.
It's extremely handsome. Johanna is very, very powerful. And this post did a great job of summing up where her power comes from.
Before we move on, I want to talk about my favorite part of Jackson's comments in here, which is the monkey wrench. We haven't talked about the monkey wrench, which he said, P.S. since its change, reinforces win rate is around 2% higher than either of the other 2 talents that we just talked about, Laws of Hope or Hold Your Ground. That's hilarious.
I think he's proud of that one.
Yes. So, I mean, how do you read into that? If he's saying that they're essentially neck and neck for pick weight and win rate at the higher levels of play, do you just take that as, you should probably pick what's correct for the situation and play accordingly? Learn how to play both versions of Johanna.
Yeah, I debate this pretty heavily. It's very easy against things like Garrosh. You are going to want to reduce your cooldown, let alone the Iron Skin. You just want to reduce your cooldown so that when you go running in, Garrosh throws a minion because he can't throw you and messes up the entire engagement. And over, you're using your blind to dismount Garrosh, be unstoppable, just give tanks a bad day. And against Burst, because of the shielding there, it gets extremely easy. You want more and more shielding. And you don't even need blinds. You don't need sustain healing because let's say they knock your health down to half. Okay. Maybe you'll be okay in 16 seconds when that double mage comp turns around, decides to damage you again. Congratulations on tanking all the damage that team had in the first place. If Kael'thas wants to pyroblast Johanna, he already messed up in the first place. So there's absolutely decisions to make. You should not be autopiloting through your talent picks on really any hero. But Johanna is such a force. She's seeing more and more early bans as well because she just works against both damage types. And as I said earlier, freeing up your blind for other activities like scouting, like dismounting, is huge. If you're not having to blind for damage, you become way more utility.
Yeah. Yep. Also in blue comments this week, Battlefield of Eternity not being in the battle round rotation was brought up, and Naaman got in there and said Battlefield of Eternity being removed from rank rotation was a bug. It should be back to 11 maps soon, probably a couple of weeks. Sorry for the issue. So expect to see Battlefield of Eternity returning to your ranked rotation very soon. I miss it, Kyle. That is one of my favorite battlegrounds.
I'm 0-4 on it this season, so I could not be happier that this bug happened. I wonder if my Diamond 1 isn't slightly due to my worst map being removed. I mean, that's not a ton of games. It got out pretty fast here. I was gone for those 2 weeks or so. But I fear, granted, maybe I can get back on that Artanis. Maybe Mal'Ganis might be better than the tanks I was trying to run there. I've increased my tank diversity quite a bit since I suffered here.
Fair. You ever thought about not tanking on Battlefield of Eternity?
Well, the thing is, I don't get to pick my symbol for what I play based on the map.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool if you could?
That would be really nice. I would be 100%. I'd probably take Bruiser. I like Thrall. I like Artanis. I'm perfectly fine doing the solo lane on Battlefield because you're all brought together. There's not an overly complicated decision process about when you leave that top lane. But, I did have, you and I played some ranked games. And I ended up going ranged for that. We were having some trouble because we were mixing leagues with our ranged assassins, and I ended up, playing some Raynor and whatnot, and some Cassia, and I ended up leaving that on for a bit. So I got to do some assassinating this week. It was nice. It was a nice break. I happened to have my symbol all wrong, so people were covering the tank instead of me. And then I got World of Warcraft frustrated with my tanks and said, "All right, back to tanking we go."
I'll just do it myself.
I will do it myself then.
Rad, dude. Well, before we move into strategy, we have some thanks to give, and that is to our lovely patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. We've had to say this a couple of times a year, but it still holds true. When weird things like this happen, like what we spent the first 30 minutes of the show talking about, we are excruciatingly thankful for the support of our patrons. So if you like what we're doing here, if you would like us to continue doing what we do here on Into the Nexus, support Kyle and myself, head on over to patreon.com/ITN. And seriously, thank you if you're supporting this show. Every bit helps. We really appreciate it because you allow us to create content for a living. So, and to some of our newer patrons, Kyle, we'd like to thank Inti, Mike Tank, and Minoshu. I'm going to go with no real names this week. That or everyone omitted a last name and everyone has a really awesome first name.
Listen, the patrons are the boss of this show, and we have amazing bosses. You all need to be in the Discord right now, discussing this, talking with the other patrons, figuring out what we're going to do as a community, and having the discussion we're all having, because that's how this show gets made. And you're the ones we're making the show for, as well as everyone else. I appreciate everybody listening right now, but it's awesome having the freedom to discuss whatever we want on the show, and we thank you infinitely for it.
Yeah. Or just talk about Light Bomb, because that's what folks were talking about just before the show.
Yeah, you can talk about Light Bomb all you want and how much I feared against ETC.
Yes, it's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. So thank you again, and check it out, patreon.com/ITN. We'll be playing games with our patrons tonight in this month's Patron Bonanza, which is just one of the perks you get for signing up. Now, Kyle, let's talk about a strategy straight from a Heroes developer.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
I have a PhD in PvP.
So, replying to a Reddit post stating that the Redditor was stuck in bronze and it was probably their fault, and I basically asking for help, Heroes developer Naaman replied with, dude, a meaty little, basically a strategy reply. It looked like one of our strategy segment notes. There were bullet points and everything.
Now, it's certainly stuff we go over a lot around here, and you may take them as basics, but we're hearing it from the horse's mouth.
And frankly,
we can.
I think this is a great pick to highlight this week after last week's extremely meaty episode.
Yes. Take it back to basics.
Bringing it back. Yeah, so Naaman got in there and basically said that when you're trying to improve as a player in a competitive game, not even Heroes specific, that each game you should focus on one specific thing that you are trying to improve on. And essentially what this is setting personal goals as a way to rank up or as a way to skill up. Rank up's too specific. Let's go with skill up. You got to skill up, Kyle. And Naaman goes on to talk about viewing this as a personal win if you can accomplish that one thing that you want to focus on. This way you feel as if you are improving, and you actually are improving, even in games that you don't necessarily win, because you're learning things along the way. And then gets to go on to one of my favorite things in this world, which is the bullet list in this post, because Naaman starts to talk about creating a list of what it is you are looking to improve on. And then gives examples. Like later on, Naaman even talked about literally keeping a list. Put a notepad by your computer, use Notepad on your computer, whatever it is you need to do, and make a list for yourself. Make an actual list for yourself and check things off as you improve and accomplish your goals. But you want to talk about some of the examples that Naaman gave here?
One of the first ones he goes into is taking an easy Merc Camp, easy being one of the giants, usually. And this is a great way to have an impact on the game as a whole. 30 seconds in, and every 30 seconds, look at your minimap. See if there are any lanes where experience isn't being soaked.
Yeah. Yeah. Also talks about like the 30 seconds. He gave a couple of these. Every 30 seconds, look at the minimap and see if there are any lanes where experience should be being soaked. Just get into the rhythm, looking at the minimap every 30 seconds. Another one you can work on is every 30 seconds to look at the minimap and ask yourself if you are about to get ganked. That's a good one. This is one I have to come back to regularly. So I just start to get...
There's just so little reason to be out there so far. And it is a learned skill, but it is inactive. And we've talked about that in the past. Perhaps the most detrimental thing about this is it looks like you don't want to play the video game when you are mounted up, letting the enemy Arthas push into your thrall, into the tower range. What are you going to do about it? Run in there and get slowed, get beaten up? Like, why not just keep stacking Echo of Elements with the help of the tower anyway? There's no reason for that. And luckily, higher leagues understand that sort of thing and may even applaud you for it, but I don't know if anyone in lower leagues is getting trolled. Oh, what are you doing down in solo lane? You should be working harder. No, that's called freezing the lane, my friend. That's a very good strategy, and you're aware of your positioning.
Indeed. Kyle, what is the number one question I ask you when we play games together?
Can I solo lane?
Normally it's...
Or can I go do a Merc camp?
Actually, yeah, that probably is number one. But one of the things I frequently shout at you is, can I push this? And it's me asking, like, how pissed off have you made the enemy team? Can I get a tower? Can I maybe get a fort? That's what I ask. I do not just push them blindly. I want to know what the team's plan is, if they're going to get loud enough that they can keep the attention on them so that I can actually safely take structures. Otherwise, I don't. Don't take a structure if you're going to die. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Unless it's a keep.
Right. If you want to get crazy with the coordination of your team and get that keep, well, heckin' good job to you. He also goes on to say, healing fountain as soon as it'll give you full health. Eventually, you will realize when you should save it, but I found that newer players don't use it as often as they could. And I will add on top of this that as long as you use it before the 2-minute mark, it'll likely be up for the first objective sometime in the middle of that fight. So if you run into that middle and take half your health and damage, go grab a drink and come back out because it'll be perfectly timed for you to get it for that first objective dinging up.
Yeah, it does seem basic, but it is such an important thing to mention. If you're newer to the game or you're trying to climb, is just use the fountain as much as possible. Like stop getting in your head about min-maxing it. Just think about if you're using it every chance you get, if before you weren't, say you were saving it for whatever reason, something that may never happen. Think about how much more you're going to stay on the field. You're not going to be hearthing back. You're going to be in the game. You're going to be active.
This next tip gets insanely into what we talked about last week with Paradox. If you took away one thing from our conversation on last week's show, it should have been you need a kill combo and that you should follow up your tank's engagements. And he goes on to say, if you're a damage dealer, try following up the tank's engage and damage whoever he sees. If you're the tank, make sure the damage dealers are in range for what you damage and engage on.
This goes back to the earliest days of this program when we were asking ETC players to please not mosh nowhere near the team.
It's about the saddest thing you could do, my friend.
Yeah, look at this sweet mosh. And everyone else is just like, I can't see you up there. I'm having to squint.
It happens. Now, tinfoil hat here. You know, it wasn't brought up in this conversation.
Tilt?
Orbs.
Oh,
Not
orbs.
a single mention of orbs.
No mention of orbs.
Would Nyman like his strategy here to stand the test of time? We understand that they are going to want to be updating the solo lane game come BlizzCon in the big Christmas update they often do for the meta switcheroo and making their game stronger, better. Maybe there's an orb change coming?
I think there is.
I fully believe that we are going to, if not see the missile wizard kind of strategy we've talked about in the past, that basically if you push into tower range, the wizard sappers themselves into the buildings and rewards you for out pushing the enemy, we could see a very big change in the way orbs work, because orbs do cause a bit of snowball, and they're on every map. I mean, you go take the enemy's merc camp and you get an orb for it. That might be too much.
Yeah. I'm hoping, man. I'm hoping. That one Heroes panel at Blizzcon, I'm hoping.
All eyes will certainly be on it here. It's going to be fascinating. I assume we're going to get Tassadar Diva and that new hero, whatever it may be, but I'm really excited to see what they want to do with the solo lane. I think without HGC, it's in a more healthy place just because people are willing to be more risky and the information isn't as set in stone. That makes it more fun. But that means we're just playing wrong because we don't know any better. And being wrong because we don't know any better sometimes is fun, though it's not correct.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So Naaman went on, had some kind of follow-up recommendations talking about watching successful streamers or YouTubers, see what they're doing different or better than you are doing them. But still, and hammering home, still focus on one thing at a time. Someone in the chat room brought up Day 9 at one point, was like, I can watch my own replay, see 100 things I did wrong, but if I try to fix all 100 things, I'm going to go crazy. So I'm going to focus on one thing.
That's a great way to think about it.
Day 9 has a great way to think about a lot of things, Kyle.
I do have the pleasure of battling it out in a high league where I see Grandmasters, Masters, and I get to go watch their streams and what they have to say about me. And I've never had anyone unload and just call me awful the entire time, but they do say, that could have been better. And that's great. Also, you know, if you won, you sometimes they flatter you and it feels kind of good. So it's a cool activity to do.
Nice. Very nice. We talked about keeping an actual list, but I know you do this and I have done this. Like, write things down digitally or, you know, by hand. It doesn't matter. We're not going to tell you one medium is better than the other, but write things down. Keep a like a little hero's notepad somewhere if you're trying to improve, if you're trying to work on something, because you're going to feel better. It's also, I find this really helps in times when I'm trying to improve because I've like dropped a league or something and I'm more prone to tilt because I'm frustrated. Keeping an eye on what it is I'm trying to personally improve on goes a long way. And Naaman kind of kept with this and starts kind of just talking about the psychology of positive thinking. And it's something you and I talk a lot about on this show, but I was glad to see Naaman bring it up, which is, you know, don't assign blame. You know, anytime you basically said, watch your replays, but don't assign blame. If you see something wrong happen, instead of saying, that person shouldn't have done that, think, what could I have done off the back of that mistake to improve it, to improve the outcome of what just happened? And the more you ask yourself that question, the more games you're going to win.
You're also going to have a lot more fun. I think something people fail to do the most often is acknowledge their enemies' sweet plays. You don't know who you're fighting, and sometimes they have some really cute moves. This past week, I had a Sylvanas teleport Haunting Wave over the wall to kill my Jaina in range of the keep, in range of the fort, as it were, and killed me, targeted the buildings, and walked out through that little passageway that's there at the bottom of Sky Temple. You know, I had 25% health, but who would have guessed the Sylvanas? And now their name was a barcode, so maybe I should have been like, whoa, you know, StarCraft esports pro player, back up. I should have been ready for such a sweet, sweet move. But just being willing to be like, holy heck, that was awesome. I got owned. Felt really good.
Yes. Was this wasn't post 20, was it?
No, this was like level, it was before the second objective on Sky Temple.
Wow,
so
okay. Yeah.
Level 7.
So just making that black arrow work for her.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Level 20, that should be happening because she probably has an instant teleport.
Right, exactly. Then I'm just like solo defending a building by myself like a complete noob. My fault, 100%.
Oh, that's great. I love, man, good Sylvanas play always makes me happy, even when I die to it. I'm just like, oh, yeah, you did it. You did it. It's why I like playing her. You can be a total, like, trickster.
there's some cool stuff to see out in the world, and you may fall in love with a hero you didn't intend to.
Yeah. And then on the final thing I wanted to mention out of Naaman's comments is still along the lines of the positive thinking, which is, and I'm just going to direct quote Naaman here. Naaman wrote, "Find small moments of victory within every game. Congratulate yourself. Congratulate your teammates on great plays, even the smallest. And he didn't say in losing games, but even in losing games. I have been seeing more and more legitimate GGs on losses in the past month, Kyle.
We are in the core audience right now. We have a month and 3 weeks. The players who are playing right now want to be playing Heroes of the Storm, or like I said earlier, perhaps are realizing that other video games may have let them down, and they have returned to Heroes of the Storm as their main game. The community right now is rather fantastic, and don't let the bad ones get you down. But also, as he says here, you know, something just as simple as you're doing punishment on Vala and you're stacking up your multi-shot and you fire that at max stacks. Just take a hot moment in your brain to be like, yeah, all right, nice job.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a link to Naaman's entire post in the show notes. So if you haven't checked it out, go give it a read. But this just made me happy. There was like the meat of the blue replies this week from Jackson in regards to win rates on Johanna, to Naaman getting in here and just dropping knowledge bombs for struggling low ranked players. It's wonderful.
Good on their communication. I have no better way to say it, but there was also an extremely flattering bit of support from the devs for this show and myself this week, and I was floored. I am overwhelmingly humbled, and thank you for those kind words.
You deserve it. I was reading that on my phone while doing a shoot. I was running around with a
metropolitan of you.
Yeah. I was running around with a gimbal and a DSLR, and on the other hand, a phone, which is very hard. I want you to know, Kyle, I am not in shape, and gimbals are a little heavy. So I was sweating just to read all the kind words being written about you.
If you had a beard and a flannel shirt on during that would be like the most LA/New York thing I could possibly imagine.
I did not have no. I
work on it for next time.
I was wearing all black because we were shooting in an auditorium, and I didn't want to stand out.
There we go. Okay, that works. You were professionally dressed.
Yep, there we go. There's the whole story, everybody. Anyways, you want to take some questions?
Let's do that.
Darkness stopped calling.
Darkness just texted me.
It's not the moment, it's a hero brawler!
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. You may also drop us a message in our Patron Discord, which you will automatically get access to when you hook your Discord up with your Patreon profile and subscribe over at patreon.com/ITN. Any amount. This isn't locked. You don't need to give us $5, $10, $20. Any amount you give us, you get access to the Patreon Discord. So check it out, patreon.com/ITN. Cameron writes in this week, Kyle, and says, "Hi, ITN. Thank you so much for the great conversation last week regarding drafting. It was super insightful, and I could have listened to another 2 hours of you guys discussing the specifics of the draft environment in general." Well, good for you, Cameron, because I'm traveling again this month, and we may have already recorded that, and it may go up when I'm gone.
Oh, yeah, there's more to come.
Yes. Yeah, Paradox was very generous with this time. Yeah, there's a sequel. There's a sequel coming, and you don't have to wait that long. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from this episode. You'll get to hear it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Cameron continues. I wanted to follow up with a question about drafting specifically as an assassin player. A lot of what you three discussed about the draft came from the perspective of a tank, bruiser, or healer main. Not a lot from an assassin main's perspective. As an assassin main, what I find a lot of the times in the draft environment, of course, is that my role is highly contested. Everyone wants to be an assassin character because they are the most fun and the most bombastic. But regardless of how contested the role is, assassin is my main role and has been for years at this point. I know you mentioned having 1 or 2 heroes in my arsenal in the other roles if and when my main role is taken or banned, but when my main role is assassin and is almost always highly contested, that's what I want to play. What is the solution here? If I enter a draft environment looking to play an assassin, but 4 people insta-hover an assassin, do I just give up immediately and try to fill, but I'm not as good with a tank or bruiser as I am an assassin, so I immediately feel bad because I'm playing a less familiar role? It often feels like I have to give up my main role for a bruiser, healer, or tank role because I don't get my main role very often. But that doesn't seem very right either. Do you have any particular thoughts on this conundrum? Really appreciate what you guys do. Thank you for being awesome. I don't think I have any like kind words or like helpful words. Like these are the ropes when you main a popular meta hero. These are the ropes. Like right now, Kyle, what would you not be stoked was your main? Because it's going to be constantly contested.
Alarak.
All right. Yeah. Right now, probably kind of rough to be an Alarak main. Very likely to get picked, very likely to get banned, might even get picked by someone on your own damn team, let alone picked against you. That is a problem. That is a serious issue. The one thing, I don't know, this is where I kind of fall back on our old crutch, Kyle, of be confident in yourself. Like, don't give it up. You're still going to need a backup because it's not always going to be your team picking, right? Like they may not let you take it. Like it may not be a thing of like your team won't let you take it. It might just be it got banned or it got taken by the opposing team. You have no control over that, and you need to plan accordingly. That's why you need to have other options. But if it's you versus your team, it's okay to be confident. Just don't be mean.
What Garrett has said here is be a jerk and be an informed jerk. And that is, sadly, when it comes to assassin maining, a lot of what you're going to be doing in the draft. You, because of your superior skills and your desire to rank up, and you know that you are better than where you currently are, after all. I'm not talking about fooling yourself. Like you were actually, like you got the skills. You're just being held back a bit. Your drafts haven't been strong. You're going to lock early, and you're going to take that for your team. You should be very aware of what you don't want to play alongside. Let's say you're in gold and you're a Nazebo main. Okay, pretty common situation. Very powerful hero in that league. Closing the door, using your zombie walls to block exits, as it were. Toad build, wrecking those front lines so you collapse on the back line. Clearing objectives, getting gargantuans. There's a lot to like about that hero in mid leagues. You need to watch out for things like Li Ming on your team. That's too much randomized damage for what you're doing, which is dot damage. Somebody has to clean up, and having 2 spellcasters alone will put you in a bit of a talent counter draft environment. Outside just the draft itself, it also just means you're not going to have a very effective damage spree. Now, something like, let's say, Nazebo Zul'jin, you see that Zul'jin hovered? Absolutely go for that Nazebo. You need to be worried about Ragnaros. He's going to clear the lanes before you get there. He's going to lava wave lanes that would be pushing out, pushing out into you. As long as you understand your counters, you can be an informed jerk, which is what we're asking you to do if you need to lock assassin here. You may have heard us talk about last week that you don't want to show your 2 assassin picks early. Depending on your league, there's not a lot of counter drafting that'll happen in anyway. Anubaraks aren't the strongest picks at the moment, and they are very easily burned down by any sustained damage supplied by the tank or even the support if you got like a Rhaegar or something like that. There's nothing too worrying about those moments in the low leagues. You also need to be worried about the clog. You don't want to be susceptible to grouping versus Kael Thas. You know, don't take that Gul'dan if you've got an Uther and a bruiser and a tank. You're all going to be crowding around the same area trying to get the business done while you try to get in range of your Fel Flames. And you might also have to look out for displacement. If you are that Alarak, if you see a Junkrat being shown, you want to lock early, you know you're a high meta pick, but Junkrat's probably going to ruin some of your engagements. He's going to make it a bit rough when he bounces people around and you miss your combo and don't get sadism because you're doing the right build. So while we're asking you to lock faster and be confident, there is a lot that you can do along the way there. And if you know what you want to play and you're an assassin main, you probably know exactly what you want to carry with in damage terms. Ask people to show, look for holes in it, and see if you can shore those up.
Yeah, because you can flex in the assassin role, which we got into a little bit, but it was a long episode, right? But like, don't double stack burst, don't double stack sustain if you can help it. Like, have some flex within your own desired role, and then go from there. So I like your idea of just locking earlier, of just doing everything in your power to make that happen. But yeah, it's I don't know, the draft that's. It's not going to happen every time, too. That's the other thing you got to keep in the back of your mind. You're not always going to get what you want in the draft. That's just the concession of drafting.
And 90% of the time, the person who locks early is not trolling. They just really want to play that hero, and they often have the skills to do it. After all, winning's fun. So if they're playing for fun, they want to win. And even a first pick Nova or Murky is not the end of the day. We just need to make sure we build a 4-man. And we had an interesting conversation in the Discord this week about early lock Asmodans. And you need to be ready sometimes to build a 4-man. And that's something we talked a little bit about with Not Paradox. It very much comes into that like Taunt Varian Blizzard from Jaina sort of scenario. You need to make sure that you have true executing power. And even though we talk heavily about something like Zul'jin, he doesn't close the deal as fast as Vala can, as fast as Jaina can. And you need to make those adjustments in your own assassin picks when you see an Asmodan. Hopefully, Asmodan says, I am Asmodan. I'm a big fat demon. I have lots of health. I would love to be a part of your team fight. In fact, I'll even off-tank for you a little bit. I'll get in there. I'll use my laser. I will not just dunk and then walk around a mile away and be like, I don't know, I'm on cooldown. What do you want from me, guys? Dunk again. Hopefully and even the Murky's an amazing bruiser. He can main tank if he really wants to. Like, he can be in there. Sometimes they don't. And you need to now consider when you see those sorts of picks that you're building a 4-man.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of blind pushes in my games this week. Hell, some with you yesterday, Kyle.
Yes, they are.
They're
frustrating.
Yep. And Naaman's words, instead of being like, this is wrong, think, what could I do to make this better? Lemons and lemonade. That old thing, Kyle.
What? Oh, because you make the, yeah, right.
Murky is giving you lemons in the sense, and these lemons are, I will blindly push top for the end of time. Well, great. I guess I have to make lemonade with this, and that's a 4-stack.
But the problem with that saying is that it takes a little work and maybe the right tools to make lemonade. And so you think, yeah, we've got a bunch of lemons, but we're gonna put in the effort to make lemonade. No, it's not just hard work that makes lemonade. It makes a very small amount. Granted, it's better than orange juice, because orange juice, you're just killing oranges like mad.
Whoa, hold on. I cannot, I will not abide.
I'm saying about the effectiveness of the fruit to juice. I'm not talking about the delicious factor of orange juice versus lemonade.
I want to go to my fridge right now. Thanks, Kyle.
Because if we're talking about that, then I'm going to raise you limeade, because I'm kind of crazy about limeade. Either way.
I am. Never mind. We're friends again. Continue.
My point being, also, you're in Florida, right? So you probably love orange juice? Or is it all made in California and Florida's known for beef now? It's gone backwards. It's weird, man. Like, Florida has a really big beef production, but Texas used to be our beef. So what the hell happened, America?
Please finish your analogy.
All right, my analogy is you have to supply a huge, ridiculous amount of sugar to make lemonade. And it doesn't only take hard work. You need to have the excess resource of sweet in order to make lemonade. And that takes practice.
The point is it works. Yes. You locked in salt. They've made lemons. Don't just blindly continue adding salt to the equation. You need to switch to sugar.
Right. The salt does not make lemonade. That's awful.
Yes. It's like, well, I'm going savory.
Now you can add salt to watermelon, and that's okay.
We're done here, Kyle. We're done.
Okay. All right. Just letting the people know that salt does work in some in melon environments.
I just want to bring more bruisers into this world, Kyle. So I would also say, if you haven't already, because I'm getting the air that you tend to like to main ranged assassins, try a melee assassin. Once you get that in your head, just experiment with bruisers. Because if you're doing melee assassin, and you start to understand the bruiser role, that makes the flex not so bad. It means, ooh, I see the opening to go like pure damage. I'm going to take it. Ah, crap. We need to fill the off lane. Well, I can still do it, and I can still get a little bit of my damage fix.
There's a great guy to learn this thing, and it's called Greybane. You basically sit back for a very long amount of time. I fully suggest you take the level 7 ranged talent and just shoot your bullets until you know you can get that kill. And then you dive in, and you messed up, you didn't get the kill, you go for the throat. We're talking easy here. You may want to do other talent picks in other environments. It's a fantastic way to get into bruisering, or at the very least, just melee assassins.
Indeed. And before we move on, I just want to say I'm the guy that's going to burn your house down with the lemons.
Of course.
Final bit of today's episode comes to us from Lupus, who writes, we've long praised Kyle's excellent temper and zen calm while playing in some rough and even toxic matches. Boy, this episode is just a monument to Kyle, isn't it?
I didn't do this on purpose.
Lupus continues, I've found disabling team chat and sticking to voice chat and draft text chat really helps, as in-game text chat is often salty and rife with, well, we screwed up, there's not, but here's what we all did wrong. Kyle, what's your secret? An answer in a self-help ebook would also be welcome. I try to be better about staying positive, but I feel like Kyle has long figured out a sort of mindfulness, and this is water-esque zen for how things just don't seem to bother him. How can you be so zen while playing and coaching? Any tips?
So we already talked about what you're doing in game to have yourself a positive experience in order to add that sweet on top of the lemons. Really, we got to go to basics here. And a lot of it comes down to what you're doing with the rest of your life, because you are a creature. You are a mammal. You have emotions. And sometimes those emotions are to deal with things as fast as possible, such as smashing. Well, there's a fly buzzing around your room. You're trying to sleep. Your reaction is to smash the fly. All right. That helps, out in the wild. You got to be able to protect your family, defend your cave. This is a video game, and it feels wrong and bizarre that you should be reacting in the same way. But it is real life, and you are being delivered the same exact chemicals from your brain that cause you to go into smash mode, to become angry, irate, and want to deal with a situation very quickly.
Just want to throw grass, man.
Oh, dude, exactly. I mean, you get a new puppy, you get a baby, your wife gets insulted. There are times when you want to go throw some grass and bang your chest, and everybody experiences this. You want to defend your home, and the internet's a tough place.
It's in your home. Yeah. Taking a dump on your rug every day.
It's so true.
Every day.
Maybe not your personal rug, but just your worldview, whatever it is. And you have to practice in other areas of your life, turning that around. I'm going to say things right now that sound like complete bull, but they all add to this picture. You got to cook your own meals. You got to go outside. You got to work out. You got to get some proper sleep. All those things reduce your stress. You know what you're putting in your own body. It's something like cooking your own meals. Now you can actually change how you feel. You feel sluggish after you eat. What was different about that meal? And the biggest one here, you got to stop complaining in your life. And that takes a huge amount of practice. Oh my God. To just stand up in the morning, if you're in the north, let's say you're hanging out in Chicago like I was, and not go, it's cold. That takes practice. Ugh, I don't want to go to work.
No, it doesn't. Now, move to Florida. What are you doing up there?
It's hot. Oh, it's so hot. Instead, what you could do is run across the tile and go, whoo, 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 whoo. It's cold. But you're sharing an experience with people around you. In the same way, you need to cut out comparative compliments. And I see a lot of people do this. Man, I think you're awesome. So-and-so sucks, but you're awesome. Oh, you were great in that play, but everyone else was pretty bad. Or I really liked what you did better than everyone else. That's still complaining. We're getting there. We're 50% there to not complaining, but you still need to work on that. You got to cut out biggest loser competitions. In school, this what always happened. It was oh man, I got 2 hours of sleep on that project. Yeah, well, I got 1 hour sleep. So we're all losers. Big deal. We all messed up. We all could have done better. Why are we fighting over whose life sucks the most? And here, months out in advance, or I guess, really not too many months here, but I'd encourage you to avoid the New Year's, what a hell of a year, oh my God, and the next year's already on fire conversation. Like, just look forward. It's an artificial date anyway. Time, the universe doesn't matter about New Year's Day. Just put that away and stop complaining. And when you get there, it warps your brain into not going there. It's a practice. Your brain builds highways. There was a guy once who was a fencer. And whenever he got knocked down, he jumped back up. And one of his competitions, the fencing sword went to his chest, broke, and went through his eye. Killed him instantly. He fell down, dead. And his body jumped back up. Because he was so practiced that every time he fell down, he would jump back up. Even in those extreme situations, your body builds highways and your brain builds highways. When you become tilted, you will immediately go zooming down the tilt road because it's the practice one. It doesn't have any lights on it, has no stop signs. It's well manicured. It's got rest areas. What else, Garrett? It's got a Wendy's sometimes, a Subway.
So I need to practice a lot so that when I die, my body does something terrifying upon expiration.
Well, in this sort of scenario, upon expiration, you'd smile, but you get my meaning. The brain is an amazing
God, that got
thing.
so dark so fast, Kyle.
I don't think so. I think it's an amazing factoid. It's from like the 80s, man. Like, it's cool. It's cool. It's fascinating.
Yes, no, I get you. When you kick this off of cook your own meals, I'm like, oh, that's a cool metaphor of, you got to introduce your own ingredients. I'm like, no, you literally meant just cook your own meals.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, dude. Ever since I've started cooking my own lunches, I've managed to keep my weight more or less plateaued. Even in times when I'm being real bad about my exercise, like I'm with you. You should totally exercise. But I'm bad about sticking with it. But I haven't ballooned. I've managed to plateau, and then I've just managed to kind of tread the weight water, as it were, by taking the reins of what I eat. Of course I'd like to improve, and I should. And exercise is healthy, and I should be doing it. But for those times when I fall off the wagon, it doesn't completely get out of hand because I'm still controlling what I eat.
And believe me, I'm not shaming anybody's lifestyle here. This is the one time I'm really going to use it as a dad. As a new dad, I fully understand not making it to the damn gym right now because I'm sure as hell not making it. I was extremely proud. I was taking shirtless photos before this thing. I was like, yeah, I'm all on top of it. And I'm gonna be going right after. I was up for 3 hours last night in the middle of the night. It happens. You need to maintain other good diets in your other areas, and that includes gaming. And we've talked about that before. Have a healthy gaming diet. You shouldn't be playing all shooters. You'll continue to be frustrated at shooters. You should have Zen games. If you're playing Here's the Storm, maybe you should play a shooter. Maybe you should play some Dark Souls, whatever. It gives you perspective, and it just means you're going to be a happier person. And you're not stuck doing the same thing all day because, frankly, that's a job.
I've almost started a show about racing games like 4 different times, and I've decided every time I've walked away from them because I'm like, no, this is where I go to be alone and relax.
That's how I feel about Magic the Gathering. But also I hate clan decks or the guilds. Like every time they're like, hey, by the way, we're getting into multicolors. I'm like, oh God, season off.
You horrible I'm going to take my Orzhov deck and I'm going to kick your ass. No, wait, no, I'm not. I already tried that and you owned me.
Dude, the new set is all like fairy tale themed. Like I'm totally into it. Plus, I mean, it's something you can do while holding a baby and like do one click every 30 seconds.
I am having the magic itch so bad right now. It's ridiculous.
It's a good set. Free draft starts in 2 days or 1 day now.
After BlizzCon. After BlizzCon, I might dabble.
Okay.
I might dabble.
Maybe we'll just do like a week sauce on it and we'll talk Magic there. And we'll see where it goes.
Oh, Kyle, my
we'll
boy.
Talk Magic Man.
My boy. Yeah. No, but at the end of the day, I mean, balance. This all you're just like, if we're boiling down everything you just said, it's balance. You need balance. Because if you a lot of frustration can come from oversaturation of a single thing. You're spending too much time looking at it. You're not seeing the bigger picture. It's this micro analyzation that just can really get in your head and mess with you. And you're absolutely right. Just any type of variety. And I'm not even saying you need a military-like schedule. I'm just do a couple of different things and do them on the regular. Break up your day, break up your habits. It help. You need perspective. And the only way you're going to get that is by doing multiple things, whether it's playing multiple games, working games into your daily schedule in a healthy way, meaning you've got your work schedule, you got your game schedule, you got your workout schedule, you got time to cook your own meal, that kind of a thing. Boy, this would have been a great week for a HelloFresh sponsor read.
Oh, that's true. Well, you know, we can still promote it if you want. I mean, you know.
Yeah, HelloFresh.com/Nexus. Go check it out. Anyway.
There you go. But seriously, like, you know, it is all balanced, but in the end, you got to practice not complaining. And one thing you can do that I found really helpful, a physical move that I learned when I was younger, is you can throw your hands up and you go, It's kind of a Serenity Now sort of thing, but you physically throw it to the heavens and say, that's ridiculous. Or even better, what I like to do is you tag yourself out. You have one hand, you high five yourself basically, and you're like, I'm out, tag me out, and you just run. You go outside, you just get away. Sometimes that's not doable, but it takes practice and know your quitting point.
Yep. Yeah, it's really important. It's really important. Started running again. Helps me a lot. It's very good. I schedule my game binges, Kyle. I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but like when Classic came out, I was like, first 3 days, I'm going to go hard. And then after that, I'm going to get back to Hearthstone, get back into the Nexus, get back to my freelance. Just going to get it out of my system.
Yeah.
If I didn't tell myself that, I'd probably just like still be going like through the weekend nonstop, like barely managing my time. So like even when I want to really pig out on a single game, I plan it ahead of time.
I get itchy. You know, I got to get up, I got to move around, and that means I cook a meal and I end up losing track. So I'm really good at the, 1 hour a night of XCOM until I beat it sort of thing. Kristen, though, is very much the Cyberpunk's coming out. You give me a week off. You will not see me because otherwise we won't be talking. I won't be able to think about anything else. I have to beat the game that I'm into so I can get on with my life. And Doom got delayed, so she's so sad about the Doom delay.
Yeah, that is a bummer. I'm sorry. There's that new Wolfenstein game. I just don't think it plays all that well.
No, Doom is the new Doom is, and old Doom too, has a very special place in their heart. But it's a very particular drug.
Yeah, we were totally wrong about our own Hello Fresh code. By the way, it's Nexus 80. Go us. This is me without notes, dude. I am useless.
Yeah. Well, it was a freebie, so it was a gift.
I'm the Ron Burgundy of podcast hosts. I will read whatever is in the show notes and nothing else. Commit nothing else to memory. Anyways, thank you for your questions, everybody. Keep them coming, itncast@gmail.com. Drop them in the Patron Discord, which you can get into by heading over to patreon.com/ITN. Speaking of which, thank you again to our patrons for supporting us over at the Patreon. Huge thanks to our producers, Declan H., Cheesy Bob, Chris K., and Robert M. We cannot thank you enough. You can catch us live Thursdays, typically at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I will start traveling next week again, though, Kyle. So you and I are going to have a little talk after the show. We're probably going to be recording later than usual. May even do it off air, depending on what the internet is like. But I have confirmed I'm going to have a hardwire fiber connection, Kyle.
Ooh.
Cat 5 into the bedroom I'm staying in. Yeah.
Cat 5.
Cat 5 is
nice.
your Ethernet cable.
Oh, I thought it's the finger of God.
Is it?
From Twister.
Category 5. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think of.
Get Cat 6, says chat. What? I don't actually know what it is. Cat 5 is like the standard, right? I think I put Cat 5 in my house just because I had a whole roll of it laying around. But yeah. Anyways, maybe it is Cat 6. I don't remember. I'm gonna go up my attic and check, Kyle. Laughing underwater says, treat yourself, Garrett. Go Cat 6. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for the show. Catch us live, usually on Thursdays. We're on Twitter at ITNcast. Kyle, before we go, where can people find you?
You can find me. Okay. I know a lot of people don't make it here, but I'm going to say it all. You can find me on Twitch at Kyle Fergusson. I stream Tuesdays and Wednesdays at noon. Sometimes a few minutes late, Flynn depending at the moment. But there is a stream where I prep for this show and play Heroes of the Storm live in ranked Tuesdays and Wednesdays at noon till about 3:30. You can catch me live there. You can see everything else I do over at KyleFergusson.com. Kyle Explains is back. DM Gives Inspiration is back. Solo shows are back on the menu. All shows are flowing once again. There Will Be Dungeons is recording on the weekends. Be sure to follow the adventures of Vorel the Lizardman there on the Frog Pants Network. That is Pacific time. Thank you, Professor. Noon Pacific time, Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Check it out. Check it out. Folks, I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. You should follow me there because I'm going to be traveling. I'll probably start posting some photos from North Carolina, which I'll be in next week, in the middle of next week. And yeah, we're going to be doing like some mountain runs and stuff on the tail end of that. I'm looking forward to it. Kyle, Katie, and I are going to a cabin for a few days to celebrate our anniversary after we're done with our trade show.
Oh,
it's going to be great.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
We're taking her car out. Her for the 2 car nerds that listen, we're taking her 6-speed Scion FRS TRD edition to the Tail of the Dragon.
FRS TRE edition?
TRD.
Ted?
TRD.
Oh, okay.
Turd.
Turd edition. Excellent.
Yep, it's bright yellow.
Oh, so it is.
Yep.
Are they all bright yellow?
The TRD special editions are, yes.
Ah.
Yeah, we're taking that out to the Tail of the Dragon up in the Appalachians. Gonna have ourselves a good time. Be careful on the dragon, says Laughing Underwater. Thank you. We did it last year on my focus, so we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Hopefully no one hits us. Anyways, yeah, so follow me on Twitter to get my thoughts on that whole excursion. I'll still be doing podcasts. We've got Angry Chicken on its normal day next week. I'll be doing it from home because I will not have left yet, so subscribe to that. We'll be back for Into the Nexus, Kyle. We'll just be doing it later than usual. Not going to get in the way of the podcast, and the podcast is going to still be coming at you, so subscribe to the podcast, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Into the Nexus. We will see you next week. Until then, good luck and have fun.
Take care.